Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the show. Who knew one small manager change could make such a huge difference? Everton are winners in the FA Cup against Brentford 4-1, and this one was damn convincing. We had command pretty much all game. Pretty much everything we needed to do right, we did right, and this is probably the best way that Frank Lampard's tenure at Everton could have gone. So let's just dive right into everything about the game and discuss what went right. We'll start off with the goals as we usually do. The first goal was the Mina header, and it basically was a result of Michael Keane serving as a decoy and Mina basically having a size mismatch on a smaller, or whoever was picking up Mina was much smaller than him, and he barely needed to get off the ground for the first goal. The second goal was a beautiful feed by Alan, a nice little lofted ball in front of Richarlison so he could run onto it. And basically, all he had to do was get it past the keeper and get it on target, which he did. The third goal was a Mason Holgate header. Beautiful placement into the bottom left-hand corner. The keeper was never getting to it. Although it was just a matter of him being at the right place at the right time. It also came at a very good time because we needed a little bit of stability because only about 7 or 8 minutes earlier, Ivan Toney converted a penalty. So that extended it to a 2-goal lead and pretty much had all Everton fans at ease. Then we look at the fourth goal, and that was basically the icing on the cake. A beautiful Alex Iwobi backheel. I don't think you've ever seen that happen in his time at Everton. If it has, it hasn't happened for a damn long time. But it was just beautiful play. And then Townsend, the finish was so clinical into the bottom right. Got past the outstretched fingertips of David Raya. So, yeah, that goal there basically topped off what was a very clinical performance. We looked much sharper. We looked like we possessed much more quality. And yeah, let's just dive into the analysis of the game. Let's just look at a couple key things. I think we had like 13 or 14 shots on target, but that's not what we're looking at. We're looking at the 56% possession we had, which is absolutely unheard of for an Everton side, but it was expected given Frank Lampard is in charge and his team's, well, he tries to instill into the players a game that will involve a lot of possession, and well, we saw that no exception. Also, 4 goals. This hasn't happened since the FA Cup last season, which we beat Tottenham 5-4. So fair to say our defense was a bit better in this one, but this is what I mean. Rafa missed a very simple trick. We have the players, we have the personnel capable of doing these things, right? But Rafa just didn't seem to get it. You want your opposition to feel vulnerable. So playing passive is not going to make them uncomfortable in any way. They're going to control the game. They're going to play it basically the way they want to. And we're always going to be on the back foot, which basically lowers the odds of winning a game of football. So Rafa, I mean, it was a very simple trick, and yet he couldn't, he couldn't decipher it, even though it was happening right in front of his very eyes. Mentioning Rafa a little bit, we don't want to talk about him too much, but there were a few iffy moments, elements of Rafa ball, should we say. A bit of uneasiness and a bit of vulnerability in the back half, but for the most part, the back three held up very, very well. Obviously, you didn't come away with the clean sheet, but you only conceded due to a penalty, and that was due to a lapse in judgment. There were a couple times where, passes were a bit off in dangerous areas that left us vulnerable at the back, but for the most part, we were very strong in that department. The key factor to winning this game was confidence. Frank Lampard, it's very clear that he has given confidence into his players and just letting them play. He even said this in his press conference. He saw that these players believed in themselves, and that's a byproduct of Lampard believing in them, because that belief is contagious. And then, you look at how we were in specific situations, the composure we had at specific points in the game, where there was, a seemingly impossible situation to get out of when we were like crammed into a corner. Dribble moves, we use dribble moves to get around it, get out of it. I'd never seen our team, at least this year, and possibly the last, I'd never seen them have this much confidence and this much composure to back themselves in and get themselves out of trouble like that, which was a wonderful sign. And that's just a testament to the confidence that Lampard has instilled in these players. He is confident in them, and the players will be confident in their own ability. And you saw that through this play and the quality which we possessed at various stages. Alan and Gomez were very good today, and let's discuss that little dynamic a bit. In past weeks, 2 in the midfield have proven to make us a little bit vulnerable at the back. We had 3 at the back today, or 3 centre halves, which were, that was a pretty good strategy. But Alan and Gomez were great. And in past weeks, their role has been a bit ineffective. But when you're getting the ball much higher up the pitch like we were today, it sort of gives these 2 midfielders a bit of a cushion. Brentford players have to travel a little bit further with the ball to get it in the dangerous area. And as a result, it takes, it's much easier for us to get set up because it's going to take more time for the Brentford players to get forward. So it's a ripple effect. If you play with aggression, it has a ripple effect in various ways, and this is just another example of what I'm talking about. We talk about taking command in the full 90 minutes. One thing that really epitomized this was the pressing and the gang tackling. There were numerous occasions where multiple players would basically close in on Brentford players, put them under pressure, and, basically force a turnover. Same with what happened to result in the Holgate goal. It was only Anthony Gordon closing out, but his pressure is relentless. He absolutely sprints on the closeout to a Brentford player, and basically he was able to force a mistake basically just outside their penalty box when, we had no right to force the issue, force a little bit of pressure, but we did. Brentford were a bit too slack, and Gordon was able to win it. Brentford were able to clear it, but, it ended up in a corner, which resulted in the Holgate goal. So simple things like that is another example of how we were taking command in the full 90 minutes. We talk a little bit about sharpness and quickness with our passing. A little point about that is if you're sharp and quick with your passing, it makes it very unpredictable. The opposition do not know how to deal with it. And, we saw there were numerous occasions where Brentford players would close out. In past times, we would take so long to offload the ball. And when we did, it would always be backwards. It would always be negative movement. But here, you saw positive movement. We were always moving the ball forward. If we had to go back, we would go back, but not too far. We'd try find another avenue towards goal. And yeah, that's basically, how we were able to open the game up at specific points in the game. Now, man of the match usually goes to a player, but we're talking about a man. We're not talking about a player of the match. If it was player of the match, it would be a player. But we're talking about man of the match. And man of the match for me is Frank Lampard. And the reason for that is basically because he allowed these players, he gave them the green light to play with such fearlessness, with intent, with, aggression. And we saw the results. It is absolutely amazing how once you get a system that fits the personnel, how much that can transform the team. Give them confidence because they are doing something that they are good at. And who would have thought that it's going to bring good results? It is only one game, and it wasn't against the best opposition. Brentford didn't necessarily come out to play today. They had a few absolute blunders. But in saying that, this is a wonderful sign. And we were getting some good things out of every player. Even Iwobi, who came on for 5 minutes, he got an assist through some skill that players rave about on the training ground, but we never actually see it in the game. But we finally saw it. I also looked at Frank Lampard's post-game press, and I was able to extract something that I found very interesting. Basically, what he has said is, he understands that you need to make adjustments on a game-by-game basis, which Rafa couldn't even accomplish. So good thing that he has identified that. But he has also identified that there needs to be a couple constants, and in his game, there is that aggression. There's always going to be that aggression, the willingness to play, backing your players in, recognizing that this is what the fans want to see. They want to see that aggression. They want to see these players have freedom in what they're doing and not feel restricted. The fact that he's recognizing that this has to be constant and this is a part of the identity that is Everton, that is such a green light, if that even makes sense. It's a green light for, letting Frank Lampard mess around with our team. Because, if there's one thing we want to see as Evertonians, we want to see these guys play for the jumper. And there's nothing that epitomizes that more than being aggressive, being passionate, basically giving your all game after game. But he did also brush over the fact that we need to work on the basics and not settle for this. Because as much as, we were good today, 4 goals, I mean, you're not complaining with that. There's always something to work on, and being complacent and saying, well, we're going to take this 4-1 and we're going to back ourselves in without working harder for the next game. That could leave us vulnerable, and we could be staring down the barrel of a 2-0 loss or something like that to Newcastle. So it's very important that is stressed, and I'm very happy that Lampard identifies it, and you can imagine that he will let his players know exactly that you cannot be complacent, especially in the Premier League. Anyway, that's going to be it from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Drop a like and subscribe to the show. The frame rate was a bit dodgy, but it is what it is. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.